Now, the next one was one that a lot of people have talked to me about, and I guess I haven't showed it for a while, and it's because I love movies set in malls, especially when they're like 80s, and it shows you, it's just like with malls, it's a total step back. It shows you exactly the way things were, what was the trendish thing, what stores there were. I just think that's cool, and it's Chopping Mall. And this mall put in in the movie, the mall put in this new security system they're checking out, which are these robotic killing things. And everyone in the mall is basically getting, these kids end up spending the night in the mall, and they're getting killed off by these machines. And it's really very cool, must see. The director just did a new one that looks interesting called Monster Cruise, which definitely check that one out too, because he actually did that, and he did some saucy films like The Bar Wench Project. The next one, and this one I've talked about a lot, and before it was only available on, you can only get like bootlegs and stuff, but Warner Archive put this out, and this is a must-see. And if they remade this, I always think that Jesse Eisenberg, he's getting a little old now, but if they do it soon, because I know they've been talking about a remake, he could probably do it, the kid from Zombieland. And it's called Bad Ronald. It's this weird kid with his mom, and he ends up accidentally killing this little kid that's giving him all kinds of crap and making fun of, basically everybody makes fun of him. And he ends up accidentally killing the girl, and he runs from the scene. He doesn't try, and I think he figures there's no way he can cover this up and no way he can explain it. So his mother doesn't know what to do, so she ends up basically, there's a bathroom, and she covers over the bathroom and hides him in the wall. So he basically lives in the wall of the house. They have this system where she opens up the little door in the cabinet where she keeps the food, and she's always feeding him food through that. He can never leave this place. But then at one point the mom ends up leaving because he's having this surgery. She never comes back. And I don't want to say anything from that point on, but definitely this is a must pick up. And now that you can get it, it's on Amazon for Warner Archive, and it's also on Warner's website too. Now this one is a German horror film, which is definitely just worth watching too, just because it's about those weird exhibits. When you see those body exhibits where it's like full bodies freeze dried or whatever that is, where you can see the muscle structures and all that. It always creeps me out. I would never go to see it. But this movie's called Anatomie, and it's basically about that. And it's this medical school where they're killing the kids to make them into these sculptures. And it's a very cool one. They made a sequel, which is good, but not as worth checking out. Now this one is, this one had the one from Seinfeld. I'm blanking on his name right now, but the one bald guy from Seinfeld is in this, The Burning. And this was made, I think, right around the exact same time as Friday the 13th. So a lot of people say it's ripping it off or something. I don't know exactly which one came first, but it's this killer that basically years before these kids ended up doing a prank on this guy who was like a counselor at the camp. He ends up getting set on fire and ends up going into the hospital or something, and then years later he comes back to take revenge on the new kids at the camp, and he's killing them off with these big scissor things. It's Jason Alexander's in it, and he's killing them off, and I don't know, it's very cool. There's some amazing images in this, and amazing practical gore effects in this. The next one is a lot of the Roger Corman films I always thought were kind of cheesiest. Like, I didn't always love all of them, but this is a Roger Corman movie I really liked with Dick Miller. One of his really early films from 1959. It's A Bucket of Blood. And Dick Miller's character basically wants to... the whole movie takes place, most of it, at this like beatnik bar. Like, the wind flies beneath my sphinx. Was, at that. And he wants to do sculpture work, but he can't do it. So he ends up accidentally killing somebody and covering them in, clay, and it becomes this huge thing, a huge exhibit. No one, they don't know that it's someone dead covered in clay, and he becomes this sought after artist, and everybody loves him. This is definitely one to check out. Now the next one is another 70s one, which I think now is out of print, so it may be hard to find this, but if you can find it on Amazon, pick this one up, and it's called Crawl Space. And I remember the first time I found out about this was I was going through old, this was years ago, VHS tapes that my parents taped of things off TV. And I saw one that was written in like a crayon that said Crawl Space. And it was this movie. And I saw it and like became obsessed with it. It was so cool. And it's basically this old family that never had kids, this husband and wife, they never were able to have children, and this handyman that ends up basically, he's like homeless and he ends up living in their basement, and they end up finding out about it, and they don't want him to leave. They want him around the house, and they basically, he still lives down there, but he comes up for food, and he helps around the house, and they really fix him up, and I think something happens around, he's around the town, something happens. I don't remember exactly what happens, but something, they find out about it. I don't know. It's really good, though. If you can find this one, check this out. It's very weird, though. The next one is one of the Halloween movies that I have always loved. I don't know if there's a new, I think I have a new version of this out, a newer one, and it's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And I know a lot of people hate this because they go on and on. It's not Michael Myers. It has nothing to do with it. The thing is, they wanted to, originally when they made this, they wanted to change the formula of Halloween and make it be Halloween 3 ... Season of the Witch. So basically it was the same title, but it had absolutely nothing to do with Halloween. It was kind of like what they did with Troll 2. They took a title. That's what they do with a lot of these movies, like these direct-to-DVD kind of sequels, when they take the same title, the thing has absolutely nothing to do with it. That's kind of what this was. And it was, when you look at the movie, if you basically looked at this movie as Season of the Witch, it's really cool. It's basically this mask company that's producing these Halloween masks with the intention of basically killing off the kids. And there's this 8 more days, like this clip, 8 more days to Halloween. Don't make sure you wear your mask for the big giveaway at 8. Then basically the intention is to kill everybody with these masks. And the one main character, Tom Atkins, is trying to, he can't, get to the bottom of it. I hope I didn't spoil anything with this, but I don't think I did. People know this. I mean, if they know it. But this is definitely one to watch. And the next one is one that I've always liked and always freaked me out as a kid. Because I saw this years ago. I think I was like 8. And it's The Bad Seed. And it's Patty McCormick. She came back in that one movie, Mother. Don't watch that. I think, no, Mommy or something like that. It wasn't very good. But The Bad Seed is her, and she's this really bad kid that fools everybody into thinking she's good. It's kind of like movies like Problem Child were the same kind of thing, only it was, everybody knew he was bad. She's the opposite of the Problem Child kid, where she's covering it up and acts real kiss-ass to everybody. And, that kind of fake, oh, what would you do if I gave you a basket of hugs? And all that kind of business. And basically she ends up killing a kid at school who wins this medal that she likes, that she thought she deserved. She ends up beating him over the head with her shoes. And I don't know, it's definitely one to watch. Now this one is a Canadian horror film, and it's Ginger Snaps. And this is a really cool one. It's about this one girl that ends up being bit by a werewolf, and I think then she starts killing the people at the school. They made 2 sequels to this. It's really cool. I need to get the better DVD of it, though. This is another Tobe Hooper one that, if I remember I first saw it, I always thought, oh, geez, this is very dark. Like, you couldn't see it. Like, the VHS copy, it was so dark you couldn't see anything. Hopefully, at some point, there'll be a Blu-ray of this, because it's a very dark movie. Like, they shot the whole thing, almost looks like with flashlights in a lot of parts. And it's The Fun House. And I think they've been talking about remaking this, too. Most of these have been talking about being remade. But it's The Fun House, about a group of these kids that sneak into a fun house at night, and they end up getting locked in, and there's this kind of freaky mask that basically hears with them, and then he's like after them, killing them off. And maybe there's a lot of movies like this, but this was really well done. The next one, I've talked about this before, and it's Dead End Drive-In. The director of this was going to the one convention, then didn't show up or canceled last minute, the Brian Tenchard Smith, and this is about this drive-in where everybody that goes in there, these teenagers go in, they can't get out, and it's basically they're trying to weave out all the delinquent kids and the criminals and everything, and locking them in this drive-in, and there's no way for them to get out. And it's basically like putting them in the jail. And the one character goes on a date to this drive-in and doesn't realize what it is, and he's not he's not a hoodlum or anything like that, but somehow he gets trapped in there. It's like the task of trying to find a way out. The next one is one that I've always liked, a Wes Craven film, The People Under the Stairs. It's about this weird family that are brother and sister that have these kids that they basically kidnap kids and put them in the basement of the house. And this poor family that's about to be evicted from their home, all the homes are owned by the two mommy and daddy characters in this. That's the name of them in the movie. The weird people. They basically break into the house and attempt to steal the gold in the basement. They have all this money, and they end up getting trapped in there. It's very cool movie. Some of these are hard to explain. Now, some of these now are the ones that are like uber known that you have to see. But the first is The Exorcist, and everybody knows about this. But this really is one you have to see. This is the new Blu-ray I just got. Poltergeist. Now there's a lot of bad vibes with this. People have died and weird cursed deaths with this. It is a very cool movie. It's like a family that moves into this house, and the one girl ends up being sucked into the TV and into the house. They can't get her. So the one character, they bring in a character who's that cool small woman who recently died though, but she's in this trying to find her. She's like, Cow Ann, come to light, Cow Ann. And the next one is one that always is so gross about when he's falling apart at the end, but it's really cool. And I would say the original is a must-see too, the original Fly, but the remake Fly that David Cronenberg did is definitely one that's a must-see. And it's Jeff Goldblum is doing this invention, if you haven't seen it, where it's to transfer one thing to another, like teleporting. And he ends up teleporting with a fly. And he starts turning into this half fly thing. He starts falling apart and becoming fly-like, and it's very gross at the end, but it is really cool. The next one, these are other ones that everybody knows about, but they really are a must-see, and they're Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, the original, not those remakes. The Dawn of the Dead remake was okay. The Day of the Dead one had nothing to do with it. I kind of wish if they were going to remake it, they would have remade it like the actual first Day of the Dead and had it all be underground and all that stuff. They technically, that has nothing to do with it. And there's Day of the Dead 2 Continuum or something. That was bad, but there was some cool gore in that. That was about it. But Dawn of the Dead was the one when they go and hide out in the mall with Ken Free, who's one of the nicest people. If you have the chance to meet him at a convention, definitely meet Ken Free. I've talked to him so many times now. Every time I see him now, he goes, produce and direct. That's what he says to me every time. And Day of the Dead, which was where everyone was, living underground in this weird, thing, and that was basically their life, was living down there. I always became, obsessed with that, because it was like so cool. Just everything was down there in this underground lair thing. I don't know, I always wanted to go to a place like that, just for a day or two, just to see what it was like. The next one, of course, is Child's Play, which is being remade. It's amazing how many of these have been remade. But Child's Play, Brad Dourif is actually doing the voice of Chucky in the remake, so that's kind of interesting, the fact that they're actually getting him to do it. And this was the Killer Doll. Some of these everybody knows. This is definitely must-see, the first Friday the 13th. And, that's the kids getting killed off at camp. One of Kevin Bacon's first movies. And then there's Lost Boys, which for vampire movies, a lot of people say they don't like this. I've always thought it was great. And, of course, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, which was the family that goes to a stay at, Jack Nicholson and his family and Shelley Duvall go to stay and be the caretakers of this old, gigantic hotel during the winter, and weird things start to happen. So basically, these are all the ones that I would consider something like must-see horror films, and if you're looking to pick up some, since around Halloween, basically Halloween in a few days, I should have done this a few days before this, but I'm sorry. But these are basically ones that I would say are must-see. And also, for coming up, I think it's like a day before Halloween, and on Halloween, they're playing a Halloween special, Dr. Gangrene's / Penny Dreadful. I'll put the link to it at the bottom so you guys can see what channels it airs on, and look up on your channel guide to see the time. But it's a Halloween special that I shot a cameo for that. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. Also, the film that I'm in, Assault of the Sasquatch, is now on Netflix Instant Queue. I don't have Netflix, but everyone's been telling me that. So if you have Netflix Instant Queue, search Assault of the Sasquatch and check that out and let me know what you guys think. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.